Hello. Hello, this is Rahmaan, author and founder of the Child Support Hustle. Hope everybody's doing well this evening. I'm doing fine. Thank you for asking. Wait just a second to see if we get some folks into the live stream. And I haven't figured out how to schedule. I know people do it, and I'm gonna figure it out. And when I do, you guys will be the first to know. I want to thank you for your continued support. I have 3.3 thousand subscribers now, so thank you so much. I'm gonna keep bringing the information. If there's a topic that you want researched, let me know and I'll bring it to you if I can. If I can't, or if I've already researched it, then I'll send you a link on what I've found out in the past. I've done a lot of research over the years, as most of you know. So if there's something out there and I haven't researched it, like I said, I'll do a video about it. Especially if it's something in the news, or if I feel like it's something like everybody could use, I'll definitely make a video about it. So I'm going to jump right in and get started. We have some people here. Hi, everybody. How are you? Thanks for joining. And don't forget to click the like if you're here. If you're watching later, click the like. Subscribe if you're new. If you're already subscribed, thank you very much. So I want to get started. April is National Child Abuse Prevention Month. And this has been in effect since 1983. It's recognized nationwide, and there have been very little. If I only saw a couple, but none have went through. There have been very little bills that have been introduced that have included parental alienation as being recognized as child abuse, or any bills to criminalize parental alienation because it's child abuse. So I wanted to talk about this topic because it's National Child Abuse Prevention Month, and just to bring some light on how damaging parental alienation is. I've been doing research on it, not as long as I've been researching and advocating for child support reform. The topic is more new to me than child support reform is, but the more I study it, and the fatherlessness crisis, alleged crisis, the more that I think that the legislators really need to introduce and pass significant legislation. And I'll get into my live and discuss more why I think this would resolve a lot of issues and help children, help parents, and ultimately help children. So the White House has posted a statement about this month, explaining why prevention is so important. And we know to protect the children, nobody wants children abused at all. So according to the White House, according to whitehouse.gov, part of the proclamation reads, during National Child Abuse Prevention Month, our country stands as one to condemn and combat child abuse in all of its forms, including physical, emotional, sexual abuse, and online sexual exploitation. So for the purposes of this live, I'm going to concentrate on emotional abuse, because parental alienation and the damage it has been proven to cause is primarily emotional, although other forms of abuse have been reported. If you want to find out more about that, as always, there are links in the description. So I was surprised. I don't know if anybody else would be surprised and disappointed, disgusted that parental alienation was not included on the list from the White House. It's not like this is something new. Parental alienation has been around for a long time now, especially considering how damaging parental alienation is as a form of abuse. It's been decades since parental alienation syndrome has been recognized as child abuse, and yet the federal government ignores the facts, which they typically seem to do when there's no money involved. So Dr. Susan Heitler, Heitler, wrote an article in Psychology Today where she defines parental alienation syndrome as occurring when one parent attempts to turn the couple's children against the other parent. Some people who are watching this video or others, when they hear the definition of parental alienation syndrome, may find that comparing alienation to physical abuse is completely outrageous. After all, one form of abuse actually leaves marks and bruises that are visible to the eye. You can see that a child has been physically abused. In fact, Ascenda Integrated Health reported that children who experience abuse and neglect can suffer from physical, psychological, and behavioral issues. That's not new to much of society, and that makes us more sensitive to children who suffer from what would be considered traditional forms of abuse. There are interesting statistics about adults who have survived abuse as children. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention discovered that as many as 80% of young adults who suffer from abuse met the diagnostic criteria for at least one psychiatric disorder at the age of 21. A National Institute of Justice study found that abused and neglected children are 59% more likely to be arrested as a juvenile, 28% more likely to be arrested as an adult, and 30% more likely to commit a violent crime. Now, this shouldn't be a surprise because there's trauma that sometimes lasts a lifetime when a child has been abused. But just as physical and emotional child abuse leaves lifetime scars, it has been proven that children who are alienated from their loving parents suffer lifetime scars too. Dr. Edward Kruk, I don't know which one, it's Kruk. Of course, the links to everything I'm talking about is going to be in the description. Explains abusive strategies often used by parental alienators that are forms of emotional child abuse. According to Dr. Crook, I'm going to say Crook, I doubt if he'll ever see this video, but if he does, or anybody that he knows, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. I'm just going to call you doctor, even though I'm quoting a couple doctors. According to Dr. Crook, children are manipulated to reject the other parent in an effort to undermine and interfere with the child's relationship with that parent. Strategies include bad-mouthing, limiting contact, erasing the other parent from the child's life and mind, forcing the child to reject the other parent, creating the impression that the other parent is dangerous, forcing the child to choose between the parents by threatening withdrawal of affection. That's cold-blooded. And belittling and limiting contact with the extended family of the targeted parent. Emotional manipulation, encouraging defiance and alliance, disrupting time between targeted parent and child, withholding information, defamation of the targeted parent, and erasure. So all of this is going on, and this is toward a little kid, like a little child who wants, more than likely, everybody wants to be with their parents as a child. So you have your one parent just dogging your other parent. And so for those that believe that parental alienation is not child abuse, just imagine a child having to deal with just one of those things having to do with the other parent. Those strategies for their entire lives before they even reach adulthood. And now imagine having to deal with all 12 of those. And then a lot of times with parental alienation, people don't even think about the erasure as the last one, when they take the whole family, the other parent's entire family, and erase that child's other half of them. And so they don't know their grandparents. They don't get to know their cousins and their aunties and uncles, just nobody. And they have a whole other side of their family. That's damaging. Kruk continues to describe the damage by explaining that tactics of alienating parents are tantamount to extreme psychological maltreatment of very young and older children, which leads to the child's emotional rejection of the targeted parent and the loss of a capable and loving parent from the child's life. For those who have never experienced child abuse in any form, do you ever think of what it would be like to survive any type of abuse as a child? That's true, Nick. If you've never experienced child abuse, do you ever think about like what it would be like? Or if you have like a friend or somebody close to you and y'all talk about it, like, you ever think, damn, that'd be messed up. And then to survive something like that. So just the emotional damage, that's what it's caused to these children. But the federal government and the state governments ignore how damaging parental alienation is to these children. And y'all know that it's for $1. This is for money. If you're an adult who was raised by both parents, married or not, but they were both in your life, can you imagine being denied access to your other parent simply because your custodial parent denied them access to you? Just because one parent said, I don't want you to ever have anything to do with your other parent. Can you just imagine? Like, my parents were married when we were growing up, but I can't even imagine like my mom saying, you can't ever see your dad. My dad and I are, y'all see dad, if y'all watch my videos, dad coming back and forth, he always comes in the middle of my videos, and I think he does it on purpose. That's a side note. But I can't even imagine like my mom saying, oh, you can't ever see him again. Or if like my dad had us and he just totally took my mom out of our life just because he didn't like her, like, or he just didn't want, like, can y'all just imagine how damaging that is? And there's kids going through this right now. And the people that say they want the best interest of our children, of these children, that's what they're basing everything on, all this damage that they're doing by ignoring this form of child abuse. So do you think that you would have grown up to be the same person that you are today had that been allowed to happen? If your parent took you away from that other parent, would you still be who you are right now? Me? Hell no. I know I wouldn't. So I can answer that question. I would not be the same person. If I was taken away from either one of my parents and alienated from either one, no, I would not be the same person. Do you think you would suffer from emotional or psychological damage if your parent told you that your mom or dad did not want anything to do with you or hated you and they didn't want you? Yeah, that shit sounds like it would hurt an adult, let alone a child. And this happens all day, every day around the world. And nobody in charge does anything to make this form of child abuse illegal and punishable with imprisonment. People that do this, parents that alienate and do and cause this kind of damage to children, need to go to prison. If you miss a child support payment, they'll take your license, they take your whole source of making a living, your whole livelihood. They will do that to you. But if you alienate a child, you can go and live your life and get child support. People that do this and cause this kind of child abuse and damage need to lock their asses up. Kruk states that teaching hatred of the other parent is tantamount to instilling self-hatred in the child. This makes the child feel unwanted and worthless, flawed, unloved, endangered, and only of value in meeting other person's needs. That's okay. I'm gonna keep going because I'm gonna keep going. We can see how an alienated child could easily grow up and seek relationships that are abusive because they are feeling unloved or flawed while trying to make someone else happy. And we probably, as adults, we probably know somebody that was alienated now that we know what it means. And wow, that probably described like our cousin or, you know, somebody that we're close to, like, damn, such and such. That's why such and such acts like that, or that's why she chose that horrible man that does this and that, or that's why he's always choosing the wrong girl. The doctor goes on to list the following as results of parental alienation: disrupted social emotional development, lack of trust in relationships, social anxiety, and social isolation. Alienated children are likely to, and I'm just listing the social, the psychological damage that parental alienation does to children, and why it's so important in April, since this has been declared child support. I mean, I'm sorry, y'all know I talk about child support all the time. So while this is Child Abuse Prevention Month, we need to talk about parental alienation, just like the White House is putting out proclamations and the Federal Office of Child Support Enforcement. Like everybody in the feds everywhere is talking about this month being prevention for child abuse. They need to talk about parental alienation as well. And why aren't y'all introducing legislation to prevent this, to outlaw it? This should be criminal. Alienated children are likely to have a poor relationship with both parents if they ever meet up with their other parent, because we know they already think they don't want them or they don't love them, didn't want them. More likely to play truant from school and leave school at an early age. Have more difficulties controlling impulses. Struggle with mental health, addiction, and self-harm. They are more likely to smoke, drink alcohol, and abuse drugs. They often succumb to behavioral addictions. They tend to be promiscuous, foregoing contraceptives, and becoming teenage parents. Now, I want to stop right there because it's very important to mention that there are several of the same issues discussed right there that they present when they talk about the alleged fatherless crisis that we have going on. And I've been talking about this more lately than I ever have before, because I feel that it can be solved. One way is to criminalize parental alienation. Let these fathers be fathers to their children. So just listen to, this is from the National Fatherhood Initiative. And I did a video about this topic, this fatherless crisis, and how it could be solved. This is what comes from National Fatherhood Initiative, and these are the following statistics that they say for children who are considered fatherless. They have 4 times greater risk of poverty, more likely to have behavioral problems, 2 times greater risk of infant mortality, more likely to go to prison, more likely to commit crime, 7 times more likely to become pregnant as a teen, more likely to face abuse and neglect, more likely to abuse drugs and alcohol, 2 times more likely to suffer obesity, 2 times more likely to drop out of school. So do you hear the repetitiveness? So if you know that there's a problem with parental alienation, and then you see the same problems repeated with fatherless children, and these alienators are keeping their the children away from their fathers with no repercussions, and there's no reason for these men not to be fathers. Why are they away from their? Wouldn't it make sense to make sure that these two people are connected, the fathers are with their children. That's the easiest fix I could think of. So, like I said, I talk about this issue more in detail in my other video, and I'm gonna keep touching on this. And um, I'm researching right now, and I'm writing a book about this, and I'm only doing it just to put the stats out there because I'm really like, this stuff has been going on for so long. I'm really ready for action. This is just to put, because so many people are against, there's going to be so many people that have counter arguments that will say, you know, no parental alienation, and will say, and they say it now, parental alienation is not child abuse. Child support is for the children. Fatherlessness is a real crisis. So I'm the type, and I want to have the research that says, well, this is why it's not. This is why it's counterproductive. This is why it's dangerous, and this is why it's child abuse. So that's why I like to write with the stats. So with the stats, the facts. So when we fight for legislative change and to get something outlawed, that we have all the information that we need. And that's why I always call for everybody to come together so that we can fight together. There's power in numbers. Somebody said I had a post on Facebook today about a protest that we had organized last year. And it was a little back and forth. You know how that goes. People on social media always trying to tell you about something that you did or you know, and all that kind of stuff. So long story short, he says a million people protesting is not going to do anything. Where does he live? A million people protesting will do nothing for family court reform? Is he crazy? I said, I have a unicorn that shits gold for sale for $1, if you believe that. If you believe that, a million people, that's a lot of people, and you will get some change. The people will pay attention to what you're saying. But that's just a side note. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Boots on the ground. Time for talking is over. If they don't want to vote the way we want them to vote, they got to go. Fire their asses. So I'm sorry I got off topic, but okay, where was I? I'm gonna get to the comments if you guys hang on, because I'll get over there and I'll start talking about a whole bunch of other stuff, and then I won't get through my notes, and then okay, that's a lot of information indicating just how damaging parental alienation is to children. This is why it's imperative that the government, while recognizing child abuse as a whole, include alienation as a syndrome that is serious and that needs to be prevented, as well as other forms of child abuse. Similar to adults in childhood physical and traditional emotional abuse, there are several psychological disorders in survivors of parental alienation syndrome. A few of those disorders include adult depression, aggression, hostility, anger, fear, anxiety, and personality disorders. Adult survivors, according to Kruk, the doctor, tend to enter into partnerships earlier, are more likely to divorce or dissolve their cohabiting unions, are more likely to have children outside of partnerships, and are more likely to become alienated from their own children. They are more likely to have low self-sufficiency, lack of autonomy, and lingering dependence on the alienating parent. Again, those statistics are, and hundreds of thousands of personal stories should be enough to force the government to introduce and implement major legislative changes to recognize parental alienation as child abuse and to make it illegal once and for all. The only time that parental alienation should be considered remotely acceptable to completely erase a parent from the life of their child is in proven cases of abuse or violence against the child. There's an alleged fatherless epidemic or crisis that has been going on in the U.S. for decades. It is my contention that this so-called crisis can be resolved by simply criminalizing this form of child abuse and by ending the profitization of parenthood. Some words I just can't pronounce. It is what it is. Profitization. Promoting, okay. Yeah, they gotta stop profiting off of parenthood. And they know what they did, they know what they continue doing, and they know it's illegal. But if you separate the mother from the father and have the mother and the father fighting against each other, divide and conquer, then you can take the whole family. And you have this kid in the middle, this poor baby that's being abused psychologically, that's going to grow up, and guess what? Just based on the stat, but based on what I'm going through on this live, the cycle's going to repeat itself. So they can just keep doing this for generations and generations and generations until we stop it. Because we know, instead of passing the horrible and unconstitutional child support system that encouraged and enabled parental alienation, the federal government should have concentrated its efforts on promoting equality in parenthood. And that includes every aspect, including financially, emotionally, and otherwise. But we know that the government is not the best at supporting and promoting equality. Why should parenthood be any different? In closing, I want you to share this video on your social media pages with legislators and news outlets and ask them, why isn't parental alienation included in the list of child abuse? If you aren't asking already, start asking your friends and family, why isn't parental alienation against the law? Why aren't alienators faced with license suspensions, tax offsets, and imprisonment when they keep loving parents away from their children? When people don't pay fake child support debts, they are punished to the fullest extent of the law. Is money more important than healthy children? We know it's more profitable to keep the system as it is, but what does the rest of society say? And the politicians cannot support, and if the politicians cannot support shared parenting, child support reform, and criminalizing parental alienation, we need to vote their asses out. There's a senator down in Atlanta, I can't think of his name right now, but he's going through his ex wants an increase in the child support. She wants to change the child custody arrangement, and she wants to move the children from Atlanta to, I want to say DC. Even though all reports says he's a loving father, he's doing everything that he's supposed to do as a father, but she wants to go back to school. So she's not going to have an income. She wants him to pay more, but he's going to see his children less. Now he's a senator. Why isn't he talking about this? These are the questions that we need to ask the people that introduce and present and get these bills passed. This guy is going. Let me look his name up real quick, just so if you're in Georgia, you can ask him. What are you going to do about this? Because he's going down. I know my computer's going to be slow. Warren, what is his name? I'll go to my Facebook page because I posted it. Warren, let me go to the because he doesn't want to offend it. But it's his family. Like, these are his children. Like, damn, the mainstream, at some point, you have to, like, you would rather not say anything just to keep a seat. Like, you have the power to bring light to this. They just don't know. They'll probably keep their seat forever. There's a lot of people out here that need this change, that support, these bills that support shared parenting, that support child support reform, that support all of this. But if you're going to sit there and say nothing, like, these are your children, and you have the power. He has the. Let me look his name up before I talk shit about him. At least let me know what the man. Let me call the man by his name. I'm gonna, why this computer. I don't know why this computer is so slow. I'm hating everyone on their dad's side. Yeah. Yeah, they do need therapy, but if they're not even going to recognize that it's child abuse, then these kids are, they're not going to grow up. Oh, it's child abuse, but nobody even looks at it as child abuse, because these kids are growing up thinking that their dad didn't want them, or their mom didn't want they didn't want anything to do with them. That's the abuse, and that's psychological. We know how it feels as adults when we find out, oh, such and such didn't want nothing to do with me, or shit. It hurts when you don't get hired at a job. They didn't want you. When you get turned down for a job, that hurts your feelings. I know it hurt mine. Okay, it's Senator Reverend Raphael Warnock. The article that I posted is on my Facebook page. If you go to Facebook, you're on Facebook. If you go to Child Support Hustle, I got a page on there. So yeah, she wants more child support. She's trying to get him in willful contempt and move the kids and all that kind of stuff. And that was April 2nd, and I haven't heard anything that he said, anything that he's presented, anything. Like, dude. Okay, let me go to the comment. Yes, Robert, it sucks. Thanks for live streaming and making content. Thank you. Coffee and tattoos. All right, I like that name. This is a very common situation. That's right. Yeah, money is important. We need money to live, but they don't consider money when it comes to the other parent. And I did a video, or I posted in the community tab where they had taken a parent almost his entire paycheck. He had like $200 and something left in California. Where are you going to live? Even here in Texas, like, where can you live and get an apartment with $250? Let's say that was for 2 weeks. So where are you going to live on $500 a month? That's your entire check. A lot of Black dads with their kids. Right, but they say that Black dads are the leading dads that abandon their children. It affects a lot of, it's just, and then for this to be the month, for child abuse aware or prevention, and them, the government, the states, nobody to even mention parental alienation. Even if this wasn't the month, they never talk about it. If you hear about parental alienation, it's from the parents that are alienated. It's from advocates. It's from other people. It's never from the people that can make changes, that can really do something about the problem. So they just ignore it. Like, they ignore everything else. They ignore that there's debtor prisons in the United States in 2022. They ignore that. They ignore these serious issues, but they all sit up there and try to pass legislation for fatherless children when it's not needed. All you have to do is outlaw parental alienation. And I'm going to stand on that. Right, he doesn't want to offend anybody. And that, I don't understand that. So what how do we get the people? I understand that people are kind of scared and they don't want to lose their jobs and things like that. But what would be the breaking point? What would be where people say, you know what, enough is enough? I know what my breaking point is. I don't play about my children, and I don't play about my rights. And either, I don't went there all the way there about both. So, I mean, how do we find out to where the breaking point for people where there are a million a million people with their boots on the ground fighting against this? And when I say this, I'm saying family court, the child support system, parental alienation, all these things that we know are toxic. They're dangerous. People are dying. Children are being abused, damaged for the rest of their life. And we have a sitting senator that's going through it and saying nothing. When I lobbied my bill against debtor prisons down here at the state capitol, I had legislators tell me it's a good bill, but it will upset our female constituency. So, yeah, it's a good bill. And then when I worked with Senator Runstad in Michigan, he couldn't get that bill passed, and that was just a basic bill about paternity fraud. But he couldn't get enough support. And we're talking about making a man not have to be financially responsible for a child that's not his. These are basic bills. These shouldn't even be bills, if you ask me. But, so that's the end of my live video. I thank you all for joining me. And if you haven't already, please like this video and share it on your social media platforms. And don't forget, talk to your friends and your family, your coworkers, and ask them, do they know what parental alienation is and how they feel about it, just to, find out. Talk to your legislators and contact Senator Reverend. Thank you, Cincinnati Red. I would too. I really appreciate that. Senator Reverend Raphael Warnock. Ask him, what's up? You going through this? What about the rest of us? You're not alone. Let him know he's not alone. All right. Now, if you have any questions, I know people reach out to me and have questions about their cases. If I can answer it, I will. I don't work on individual cases anymore. If I can't answer your question with an article link or a video link or anything like that, then I apologize. I just don't have, I just don't work on cases anymore. But hopefully I already covered the information and already can give you an answer. And I think that's it. So you guys take care. I hope this video was helpful to you. And I'll see you next time. Make sure your notifications on. I would have to hear more about that, Ben. I'm interested. Yeah, I'm interested. If you have any questions, you can email me cshustle1@gmail.com. If you want to get my book, The Child Support Hustle, it's available on my website, thechildsupporthustle.com. A lot of information. I break the system down all the way down to the very last compound. And I have a lot of articles there that can maybe help you if you have a question about a case, your case, the system in general. I've been doing this for a long time. So yeah, if you want to, I have Facebook page that a lot of people are on. It's a big group. There's a lot of information. People share information there. So again, that's Facebook, the Child Support Hustle. I don't have any social media pages except for here and Facebook, and you can email me. So with that being said, thank you guys for joining me. Make sure y'all notifications are turned on so y'all know when I'm going live next time. And I will see you guys next time. Thanks again for joining. Fight the power.